What's up everyone, I am Safi and welcome to the channel. Let's run the intro and then get right into the video. Alright, so today's video is going to be how to edit like Shortstache or Garrett King. And it took me a little bit of time to figure out his color grading process, and I'm still not there yet. His images are just mind-blowing, and there are videos out there, but I don't think it does it justice. I will explain every segment, including camera calibration, how to shoot, how to expose properly, and also I use the 85mm Sony lens, the 1.8. It's like $600 from Best Buy. But all of the images I shot with were at the same settings, and I'm gonna show you Garrett's. So as you can tell, this is the reference image from Garrett King, and onto the right is my image. And I think besides the green tint in the water, and I have it too, just a little bit, I have the green tint in the water too, but you know, I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, you be the judge, and hopefully we can learn something together. I wanna show you the before. So this is the before, and Command Z, this is the after. Before, after. And as you can tell with my waveform, my highlights are completely, underexposed. But before they were, it's middle. I exposed it for the middle, and my highlights are pretty bright. So let's go one at a time. So I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna turn this off. Hey, as I turn things off, it gets better, but no, it's still too contrasty. I'm gonna turn split tone off. I'll leave sharpening on. I think the final thing is camera calibration. No, wait, basic correction. So as you can tell, these are my. So what I did was I underexposed it by 85, my 0.85, and I busted up the contrast by 35. So if I were to go back to normal, you can see that this is kind of what it would look like. So Command Z, back to minus 0.85, and back to plus 35, because I really wanted the contrast there. I dropped the highlights as much as I could. I increased the shadows as much as I could to 72, but if I don't increase the shadows, it's too contrasty. So for instance, like that. And as you can tell, his blacks are not completely crushed, but they are pretty black. If you look at this pole over here to the left, and his blacks are black. Just I think that he does have some detail in them, so I left the shadows high. If I undo the blacks, I think it's too bright. The blacks are too bright, so I'm just gonna put that back. Maybe if you wanted to add a little bit of fade. So let's turn on the tone curve. The tone curve, I did add a little fade right here at the bottom, as you could tell. And honestly, adjusting all these points were calculated. It took me a little bit of time, and then afterwards I just copy pasted those attributes to the rest of my images. But I did very subtle greens. I dropped the greens just a little bit. So if I double click this, that's red. And I don't think he has that much red in this picture. So let's Command Z, and one thing at a time. You can kind of, oops. Let's turn that back on. So yep, there's that. And then I did actually adjust all these 3 points, but very subtly. So I put a little bit of purple and a little bit of green, and that's what this white stuff is. It's actually a little bit green. And the yellows I dropped a tad bit right here, and also the blue goes up because it's kind of like an S curve, a reverse S curve. But this is nothing, and this is width. So I think I start off with camera calibration first most of the time. I try to get as much done with camera calibration. So let's just do the camera calibration. I wanted as much, because you could tell the people, the highlights over here, there's red. There is actually a little bit of red. Obviously this is too much, but I got as close as I could with the calibration curves. I brought down the reds. I brought this down to 66. So let's see what it looks like without. See, that looks more like it actually. So, I mean, you could do that, but I'm just gonna, basically all of it is cohesive, you know? So if you do mess up a little bit here, you can go to the curves and adjust it there. Or if you mess up in the curves or the basic adjustments or the hues, HSL and stuff like that, you can fix it here. So what I did was, if we go back up to Hue HSL, I made up for it. Obviously this is a completely different image in a different day, and maybe let's just try to add a little bit more of a fade. See, if I added just a little bit more of a fade, it looks like it. But hey, I don't know. You guys be the judge. As far as the hue, saturation, and luminance goes, I always mess with hue first. So I brought up the reds. My greens are completely down. My blues are completely up. Aqua. Let's see what this looks like without. It's very subtle, but I think his blues have purple in them. Like if I show you this picture, his blues are very blue. And I thought at first he desaturates his blues, but I think what he does is he just drops down the luminance. And if you also drop down the exposure up here in basic corrections, it makes a big difference. So I think like this works. I think this works. Obviously mine has too much purple in it, but if we drop down this just a little bit, just, yeah, see, at plus 54, it's starting to match a little bit. So let's just make it a little darker, and boom, making it perfect. So I'm learning with you guys. Let's go back to this image. As you could tell, skin, his skins have red in them. Mine is a little too red, so let's bring the redness down just a little. No, I would say right there. What do you guys think? Probably right there. So before, just increased it by +8. Let's say even there. That seems about right. So let's go back to fit. Okay, so the skin is good. Let's go back to our original image for the reference. I dropped the aquas down. I increased the oranges because I wanted his skin to be bright, because you lowered it so much, you know, by dropping down the highlights and the exposure. I tried to compensate that for the luminance, and that's why the yellow is so bright. Actually, I didn't do much. I don't think it's the yellow, it's the orange. Yep. If you look at this image by itself and the before and after, it drops in exposure considerably, but once your eye adjusts to it, I think it looks pretty good. And I think that's what he does. I think he always, if you look at the histogram up here, he always exposes to the left. Well, he might expose when he captures the image to the middle, or at least bright, and then he drops down the highlights in the exposure. But I don't know. Let's see the split tone. I think this is what is the cake. Like it takes it home. Is if you look at it, it's not quite there. So when you turn it on, I have a little bit of blue hue, and I think he has it too in his shadows. If you look at his shadows here and here, there's like a tint of blue down here. I feel that there's a blue tint. So mine is also blue, but I jacked up the yellow highlights. So Let's see what it looks like without. And then with. I think that sells it right there. And let's look at another image that I took. Here's one that I really like. So I try to kind of get it to match. This is before, this is after. I would say it's a little dark, so maybe make it a little bit brighter. Check up the yellows. And finally, my last image right here. I think that's it. Yeah. I will try to export the preset that I made and just give it to you guys for free. But I just want to teach you guys, so before it's super exposed, you know, and I slowly adjusted the colors to make it match with the reference photo as much as possible. Leave a comment down below if I did a good job or if I'm completely crazy. I'm so sorry for wasting your time, but thank you for watching. And this lens, if I get enough comments down below, I will do a review on it. So if you guys do want to know what this is like or if it's worth it, let me know. It's the 85 1.8 Sony lens. This is all the images that I captured. If you like these images or you think they look good, this is out of camera right here, then I'll just do a review on it. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope that helps. And subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me answer your questions. Guide me through this process. I want to learn, you want to learn, and have a nice day. Peace out.